Where?
just north of San Diego.
Oh, where at? I live.
Carlsbad. Carlsbad.
Okay, I lived in San Juan Capistrano.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, I lived right there, two
Come on
blocks
out,
from.
man. Come on
Huh?
out. Just the wife and I. The
I
kids are
like.
off.
I
My
like. Huh?
my son's a firefighter in Austin.
Oh, oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
How did he end up in Austin? You go to school out there?
He was going. He was in the fire academy out here, and they wanted him to do more schooling, and just had an opportunity, more money, less expense.
So
Cheaper.
he went out there and they lost to firemen.
Yeah.
He chose Austin over.
Oh yeah.
Let me just make sure
Oh yeah.
it's all working here. Let's see here. Yeah, we've been getting a lot of suppression. I got a lot of. I've noticed there's a lot of spam and
Yep. Virus.
bots.
A lot of
Yeah, there's
viruses.
yeah on my Facebook pages. I mean, it's just like crazy.
Well, we must be doing right then.
Maybe. Well, I took a hiatus, so kind of went down the algorithms. It takes about 3 or 4 minutes for people to even see what's going on if we're doing something. But I've just noticed, like, on every post, and I keep reporting it, and but I feel like that the social media that we've known is no different than anything else, including ourselves and our own bullshit and stories and programs and excuses and everything. But I feel like social media is no more, no less susceptible to these universal energies. I just feel that social media, and I got this last year about this time when we started the network, it's on its way out. I don't know what that means, but I was told, go start something, start creating a new template based on Trinity, based on the equal energy exchange, and we're still trying to figure it out, But
Philology. Let's make that happen.
Yeah. I mean,
we have a little group, one Ohana, my wife and I, and they've done anything, everything to try and interrupt and suppress what have you. And I mean, you know what, brother, you can't stop this energy. You can't stop.
No, man, of course not. Bring it on. I was watching. Right. I was watching. Hello, everybody. We got 25 people in the house. We were just talking about the suppression. If you don't mind just sharing it to a group or your page, that's cool. If you want to. This is the same kind of stuff we went through, over the years from time to time. But no, I was watching. I'm just speaking to what the energy of what you just said. Like, they can't stop this. The bad players that are mirrors of us, and people can talk about clones, and they can talk about this and that and transhumanism, but it's all the same God, goddess, substance. This is a war on consciousness. I hate to even use that term, but I was watching a very well-known platform. I'll leave it at that. Over the years, I mean, I've been abreast of them for 10 years, and pretty prominent. Has done good work. Anyone that gets out there and mixes it up, whether it's in private groups or whether it's publicly, you got to give them credit. You got to give them respect. But and I hope we can get into this, because we're both in a men's group now, which is cool. And Morgan and I had we've had some pretty strong sessions where the masculines kind of come in front and center, and there's this evolution occurring, which I know you're on to. But anyway, I saw this today, and everything that I experienced during the day, I realized more and more, like we all do, that it's meant for me right now, not a week from now, not 2 weeks from now. So I'm watching this program, this broadcast, which has 300 people watching it live, and obviously they're discussing the eclipse. They're discussing the story, the narrative of the world, and I'm just watching it going, why does this feel weird to me? And it was very masculine oriented, by the way. And that's why I think it felt weird to me, because And I just started writing. I got my pen out and I started writing, you know, GMOs, chemtrails, fluoride, programming, you know, secrecy, fuckery, the whole 9 yards. And I don't care if you want to go back to the Sumerians, the Anunnaki, you want to go back to the Galactic. You know what? I don't give a damn anymore. I'm a man who knows he's a soul. And I want to see this masculine energy take hold. And I guess what I'm saying is I'm tired of talking about this. I'm tired of beating a dead horse. All that stuff is great for us to become aware and bring us to this point. But I'm not fighting that old fight anymore. I'm not interested in the doomsday. It's taken me off of my square. It's taken me off of being centered in myself in every given moment, which to me is the only order of the day. So I don't know. I'm just going to throw that at you.
Well, mean, you know, those are always loops. Those are always little traps that they're throwing at us to get tied into lower frequency and what have you. But, you know, for me, I don't know, Todd, I just try and keep it simple. It's all about vibration. It's all about authenticity. It's, you know, that at that level, none of that stuff touches you. In fact, you really want to mess them up. You really want to mess them up. Love, hold space for them.
Right.
Really mess them up. Whoa.
Well, yeah, that's true.
When we start disconnecting, when we just start going to our heart space and being our authentic self, which feels so good, so natural, so easy. You break out of the programs of what it means to be a man, what it means to be in the masculine. You let all that stuff go. Then there's a purity there. And it's almost like a reset for me.
Well, I think it is a reset. I think every day's a reset, basically.
Oh my God. I mean, it's a beautiful easing. Now, see, it's interesting. The programming still feels very masculine, but this surge that we're feeling, and it's going through us right now like a fire hose.
Oh, I know it is.
Okay.
I have rediscovered my youth and my puberty. I'm just kidding. No, I want to make this distinction though. Okay. I'm not talking about, and I just want to make sure that you understand, everyone understands, because I really want to get into this, and I'm hearing what you're saying totally. I want for you to expand on it, but I'm not talking about the propaganda in the BS, and the movie scripts and the narratives that they're putting out there. I'm talking about the masculine energy, which a lot of it you see in the male form, but again, this is everybody. We're talking about souls here in human form. Some are in male form, some are in feminine form. It's not a perfect science, but my point is, what I was referring to were people in the light, and I'm not throwing shade at anybody. I'm trying to get to a higher truth. But people in the light worker circles, okay, where you've had since day one, and in a high proportion of women that have run anywhere, depending on the group or the time, anywhere from 70 to 95% of the group or of the platform or of the communities or of light workers in general, right? Star seeds, whatever you want to call them. However, the vast majority of the podcast, which to me offers more, I'm not saying one thing's better than another, because some people do great work without ever showing their face or doing a video. But if you look at it, it's saturated with masculine. Now that's weird for me to say, because I've done 4,500 shows and I'm a man and so on. But what I'm trying to say is, if the communities are 80-20, then why are the podcasts upside down? Now I look at the symbology of it and I look at the energy of it, and what I was referring to, and that's what I wanted to clarify. I'm talking about people that we would be in alignment with. I'm just posing the question that maybe we can we can cease or consider ceasing what's back there and start talking about what's coming into us, like what you're saying. Like, in other words, I had this come in a couple of days ago. It was like, focus on what's coming in through you, not on what you have to go through. Because to me, what we have to go through is like the old thing, right?
Right.
Yeah, is something going to come up? Am I going to have to look at something and bring it into neutrality and 0-point balance? Yes, absolutely. But that used to be a full-time job. Now we have another job, and that's where I'd like to see some of this go, is the creativity part of it. And that's all I'm going to say. You go ahead.
Todd, we're moving forward. We're just moving forward. I mean, we could go back and try and deliberate and figure out, and
right.
I reset to that vibration, that authenticity. I mean, why is there 80%, 90% women in these groups? Because of their ability to, and openness to not only access that vibration, but to embody it, to bring it into the physical. And so that's why it's not even close. It's the distinction between the vibration is off the charts with women. And it's not just women physically, it's the feminine vibration. But,
No, I agree. Yeah.
Just that, and you embody throughout your day as a man. Just look at us. Look at us having this type of conversation. Look at us being open, and we're talking about feelings, and we're talking about, in our men's group, we talk about insecurities, just embodying that and showing an example of a man that is in touch with that, is able to be vulnerable, is able to express himself in a meaningful way, have that depth of connection with people. We become the living embodiment. There's a new breed of man coming online here. And for most of us, myself included, we've been kind of in the background a little bit, kind of pushing from behind. We've been just, hiding in plain sight, holding this space. Because I think I heard you mention a couple of shows ago, or maybe it was in the men's group, where it hasn't always felt comfortable to be this version of ourselves. It hasn't always been accepted to be, a man, but sensitive and open. And sometimes it's been awkward.
It's not been allowed. It's not even been allowed by the women or the feminine in our old paradigm, because it wasn't accepted. A man had to be a man. I mean, Morgan and I were talking about this last night, and I asked her the question. I said, do women trust each other? Now, one thing I admire women. I always have. I think there's beauty in every woman. And I remember saying that as a teenager, like in my must be in my soul talking. But one thing I admire about women is they don't F around when it comes to anything that they have to say. If a woman's got a problem with another woman, she picks up the phone and she calls them, and they hash it out. They may not ever like each other, but you know what I mean? Oh. They're truthful with each other, and trusting doesn't mean it feels good all the time. Now, the question I asked her that question, and she said, yes, they do. But men don't trust each other. Men don't trust each other. Even an empath with a corporate career like me, I'm sure you've got, your stories. You had that learning curve where you have to realize that not everyone's like you. They don't think like you do, and then the veils really come down, and you find out that you're just a soldier, and they're going to ride that horse till it drops. And the whole patriarchal thing. We're the soldier of the patriarchal. So we don't know anything else. So I think in this conversion is what you're talking about. And I feel like that you've got a beat on it. And I would say too that is the word vulnerability. Oh, there's a bit of a lag. Is the word vulnerability, or is it pure 100% transparency? See, that's where I'm headed. For me anyway.
It's courageous. It takes courage to walk this path. To be authentic, to show yourself as yourself. Yeah, of course, I've felt way more safe with women, but it hasn't necessarily been for reasons that people would normally think of it. For me, it's always been about the vibration and the purity of the vibration and the honesty behind the words. So much at this level, the words, I mean, people are throwing words around all the time. But
Mhm.
to me, the new currency, if you will, is authenticity, realness,
Yeah.
meaning what you say. I know you lived in Hawaii. I lived in Hawaii for 15 years.
Oh, wow.
There's a connection there that's so different
Yeah.
that, people don't care what you're driving or your house, or they care about the purity of your heart. They care about the depth behind your words. If you mean what you say, and that keeps things so simple, Todd. That
Mm.
whole, I'm just trying to embody this version. It's a different version than most people are used to. Some people trip out on it. Some people get triggered by it. But again, it goes back to the courage of walking that authentic path. There's quite a few examples of it. Not enough, in my opinion. Morgan is an example. Amanda Lawrence is an example. Rick Rudd, Rick Jewers. I mean, these people are authentic. They're walking this path, and more and more and more, as you start to see what these people are able to not only access, but create the impact that they're going to have, you're going to see the change in people that are tied into another program, the matrix, if you will,
Mm.
third, fourth dimension. They're going to start to take notice of these people. Look what these people are doing. Look at
Mm.
what they're creating in their life. There's a whole different game. They're doing things different. They talk different. They see issues like homelessness and poverty and hunger, and they take action about it. And so that energy that you feel surging through us is kind of all pushing us to the front now. Whereas
Yeah.
maybe we're in the back supporting this. Now we're on the front line. We're on the front line creating, showing others how to do it. I don't know about that old stuff. I don't know about any of that stuff. All I know is that it was horribly disproportionate. It was spun us out of control. This male dominant society has led us to all sorts of craziness. It's not fair. It's never been fair. And it's time to change. I mean,
Yeah.
people want it, but the truth is to walk this path takes a hell of a lot of courage, because people get uncomfortable. They get uncomfortable when you start standing up and be authentic. They get weird, like like whoa, because they see in a mirror their own, games, their own programs, and it makes us uncomfortable. And as men, I mean, walk this path, this life, it's been a hell of a journey to download those programs from grandfather to father and be in that lineage and feel the shackles that it has felt like to be tied to that, and how repressed it is and how hard it is, to just exist.
Right.
And a real challenge. It's been painful, and it's taken tremendous courage to keep walking and keep exploring, and the senses and the feeling that it takes to keep walking down that path, not
Yeah.
just have the capacity, but to also embody it. I'm kind of
No, you're good. This is
I'm
what we do. This is what we do.
this is what
322.
we do. This is
222 Mountain
hey,
Time. On April the 2.
what's that?
I said on April the 2, it's
Oh yeah.
222 Mountain Time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, back to what you're saying. Yeah, and I'm with you. To me, what you're saying, or what I'm saying, or what we're saying is it, it's time to own it. Owning it is, I think it's beyond authenticity. I think it's truly transparent. I mean, authenticity is cool. A cool word that bounced around for a long time. I used it a lot.
Yeah.
And I coined the phrase raw authenticity 3 or 4 years ago, and then some people stole it. Not that I care, because I don't, because it all comes from the same place, right? But what I'm saying is that, yeah, there's a lot of, okay, it's being authentic is like, yeah, being raw, being authentic in the parts of myself that I want to share. I think we're at the point now where there's been enough progress made in expansion for so many people, especially since COVID. And, but it's the stuff that we haven't talked about that I believe, just like in our own lives, right? Discovering the shadows and the unconscious programming in our lives. What did that do for us? It provided gold. And that was a place that me and the universe, or you and the universe, mano y mano, witnessed it, experienced it, etc. But there's a whole bunch of stuff, and we know it. We could talk about sex trafficking. We can talk about all this stuff, right? All this stuff that the Vatican. We can talk about all the BS, right? Or we can talk about our own stuff, or we can listen to somebody else talk about their stuff. I think there's a big difference between being in victim consciousness and telling stories from the old vantage point, and then even retelling or telling the stories from the eyes of a knowing soul who happens to be, let's say, in a male's body. What I'm saying is there is a untapped, fertile realm within the realm of coding and information that's been shut and locked away, that has characteristics and attributes that we would associate with the male's journey, the male form, masculinity in general. Because I think we often forget that patriarch isn't necessarily exclusive to the masculine in terms of the masculine form. And I think this has been part of the evolution, part of the fight, not fight, but the imbalance is, I know Morgan said years ago in a channel 3 or 4 years ago, she blamed him and he blamed himself. Now we got into these groups, in these early groups, and one of the things, I don't remember which guy said it, and I don't think it's okay for me to say it, but it was something along the realization as a man. And he was speaking in terms of energy, in terms of his own experience, but also collectively, like what he was picking up on, is that he could not protect within this realm. He could not offer protection. It was impossible. And what a depleting epiphany, what a disempowering element to take into a consciousness and actually believe it. Right. I mean, that's part of what, part of what we, what I guess we're coming out of or trying to figure out.
And a difficult journey. I mean, I've known people that have had, great financial success and just assumed that then I was good. I made it, and found out otherwise, or got into great health, or got into a great relationship, because that's what society says. Oh, when you attain that, then you'll connect to that place. That place is unachievable through the physical materialism. It's only through the heart. The quietness is everything right now, Todd. The surrendering to this unbelievable, beyond our comprehension vibration that is here to assist us. And it's accessible to everybody if you're open to it.
Yeah.
But again, I'm going to go back to the courage that it takes, not just to see, but also to see within, to go into that place. So here's an example. If you get triggered by somebody,
right,
be able to stop in that place and go, wait a second, if I see it in them, I see it in myself. What's going on? There's a little density there. There's still a little hurt, little trauma, little something. We were working our men's group, and as we started to get down into our lower chakras, that energy was so dense, it was so thick, that we carry around. So as we get triggered, these are all of a sudden these little opportunities to start clear, get lighter, start to unwind, unshackle ourselves from this repression, from this heaviness. And then all of a sudden, this whole new vibration starts to come through us. We become the channels. As we walk amongst the people, we become an example of a balanced masculine, if you will. I'm not going to go based on my physical, but still, that's the way people look at me.
Right.
I like to embody that. I'd like to at least try to. Here's somebody that's trying. Here's somebody who's trying to be himself, and it hasn't been easy. It hasn't always been accepted by family and friends. People get weird on it for sure. But
that's happening less and less and less.
It is. And here's the thing. I'm also caring less and less. I'm also attached from that because it feels so good to start being my authentic self and feeling that way. So back to what Morgan said, she blamed him and he blamed himself.
Right.
Internal blame is like a bullet rattling around. That just means never seems to end until you start to turn on yourself. That, what I want to call a beginning of a beautiful love affair with yourself. Instead of harshness, it becomes kindness towards yourself, and patience and compassion for this journey, which has been very difficult, tons of suffering.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I just kind of, what came through is our ability, our capacity to experience the suffering now is being flipped to our capacity to embody joy and to share that.
Yeah.
And feeling that almost like an hourglass being flipped. I can feel that shift. And all of a sudden there's hope there. There's, that there's an opportunity for us to break out of this and create anew. And you're seeing it everywhere. Just go on any of these social media and put in the word ascension or vibration or frequency or any of these words. There's a lot of people starting to tune in.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I've noticed it. Well, I think COVID kind of brought that in. COVID. I know we are broadcasting. All of our shows are on solarjewelnetwork.com as we're getting this thing up and going again, but we're on all the social media. So I just want to say we have no fear in saying the word COVID or vaccine or anything else that there's been a problem with. But I think that was a big part of it, because I started noticing people from outside of our circles using those words. Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And, but I don't know. It's kind of like this to me. We've gotten to a point now where this type of exchange, or even like the group, or even, it could be a production where you have a bunch of like-minded people, because I kind of look at these shows and always have as a vortex. It's a vortex of openness, of intention, of, and all these things. And these things come out of it due to the efforts of everyone and the participation, etc. But, I question everything. So what may have been, the golden, the golden way or whatever a month ago or a week ago, even now. And it's not to take anything away from our journey, because you said, you're right. We have come so far. We have done so much that, it is time to own it. And to be open to what that looks like. What does that bring to us? Like, there's so much to be had for these exchanges, especially if there's witnesses, because we all know how witnesses are applied and utilized and experienced in dimensional experiences. Why is there always a witness? Even if you look at some of the myth or some of the sacred texts, angels were there to witness, and that's a very important thing. But yeah, I just feel like having a discussion at the root level, no pun intended, but yes, that is involving a dialogue and topics that we haven't seen, even in these circles. we haven't seen it. We haven't seen men talk about their fear of intimacy. Not really, not when it takes into consideration, let's just say a consciousness. In that consciousness that's contemplating it, where we're recognizing and acknowledging that we are soul, that we are infinite beings, that we are that we have come in these incarnations for a reason, and now here we are on the other side, right? I mean, to talk about these things in a way that we've never talked about them, but in order to talk about them, we've got to bring it out into the open. And you know, I'm watching a lot of brothers over the last, I'd say probably going on 2 years, but definitely 23 and definitely the first part of this year, including me in the winter, in December, January, February, both years, deep dives on a personal level into spaces within me that were ugly, you know, that were, and really, again, as within without, I'm going into these things like you were saying earlier. Oh, somebody triggers you. Oh, where's that in me? So you go into these things and, well, that's not me. I would never do that, you know, but it was in some way my soul giving me the opportunity to align with it without judgment and with 100% compassion. So for example, I'm taken into a dimensional experience a year ago where I have to be the victim as a let's say as a young boy. And then I have to be the person that knew about it but didn't tell anybody. And then I had to be the perpetrator. Now this is all, you know, dimensional. This is all,
sure,
but it's still real. And it taught me that, you know, it took me further, deeper into the whole issue of, you know, dark and light and all is the same thing, that type of thing. But from this really intense masculine perspective, and I didn't understand it, but now I'm starting to see where others like you are picking it up, and I feel like there's a pretty strong movement coming very quickly.
It's massive. It's massive, and what's beautiful is that most of us, at least for myself, speaking for myself, I mean, most of us have been trained by women. Our mentors are women. We vibrate in with women. That's who's been teaching us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a massive advantage to be able to tune into a frequency, tune into a feeling. Your senses are more expansive as you go through your life experiences. Look, we all have our stories, Todd.
Yeah.
Have our story. You know, I've had them, you know, best friend killed, you know, parents dying, you know, financial pain, difficult relationships, abuse, physical, sexual. Okay. That created an opportunity. If we, again, I'm going to go back to the courage to just simply look at it, not from a victim,
Mm-hmm.
from just an honest consciousness. This happened to me.
Right.
Okay. And so if I'm willing, that again, that expansiveness to feel that pain is also my expansiveness to bring joy in this new vibration. And it's not for me to just sit there and go round and round and round. Sometimes I feel a lot of these groups, we just keep looking for something else, something else. As we're ascending, we're going up and out of it. And what they show me is almost like an airplane going through a thunderstorm up above the clouds.
Right.
There's
the eagle.
Another game going on there.
Yeah.
You know, and we will look back and go, remember the back in the days when, you know, we used to just deliberate and dig into this stuff and carry it. Remember we used to carry pain around with us? You know, when I receive guidance, the guidance is always like, they can't believe our capacity to hold pain in these containers. You know, not only that we can, but why do we? Why do we? The programming's that good, I guess. Why do we carry our pain with us for so long? And you know, it's just another level. It's just another level. We've been through it. As I talk to other men, you know, we start to discover, you know, there's some shifts happening. There's some subtle shifts for some. Some it's amazing. It starts out maybe something like, oh, I saw the clock and it was 11:11. Isn't that weird? Or I turn around every time it says 4:44. What's that? I see it on the license plate. I see it on the building. What's going on? So there's like those little inklings of, is there something else happening? Almost like a Truman Show type
Right.
experience. And then it starts to, as you pull that thread, it starts to materialize. Wow, there's something else here that I'm sensing that I don't quite know how to access, that I can use to create my life, find a different level to experience this life, a whole different game within a game. And, when I work with clients or I work with businesses or whatever in our group, we have group one Ohana, it's always about fine tuning into that frequency that is so beyond us. But when we access it, some people call it the quantum field, but when we access it, we're beyond that conversation. We're beyond the shackles, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
We can create a new. We can wake up and look around and go, wait, do we treat the earth this way? How long has this been going on? Is this what we do with our food? Is this what we do with sex traffickers? There's a movement happening of not talking about it, about doing.
Yeah.
There's people
That's
out.
a good one. Yeah.
I call them venture philanthropists because they're not doing it for money. They're doing it to make a difference. Okay.
Yeah. And they use it, and they do it with their energy. And they're usually poor.
You know what?
Things are turning now. Things are turning.
Change that too.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, it's taken physical form. So you just said something. The stop the talking. Now, again, I'm showing up today, I guess, because of the energy that's kind of around, that seems to be on point or center stage or, on the carpet, which seems to be this masculine thing. And again, I'm not, excluding. In fact, I'm including every soul that walks the earth as I'm speaking about this. But again, we see some of this in masculine form, and I'm just looking for answers. But if I look at my situation as an example, because most people would be familiar with the show and be familiar with Todd after 12, 13 years of doing this, right? So coming out of last year, it was like, it was like the end of something, like the end of the old. And I'm speaking from a masculine in service, okay, who's going through the same evolution everybody else is. So there is some general consensus to the way the energy flows collectively that affects us all differently, but it's all kind of the same thing, right? So I come out of this thing, and the inability to function as a man had been functioning. Here's my list of things to do. Here's how I structure this organization. Here's how we do this. Here's how we do that. And then, of course, the energy to drive it, right? You're the energy that drives it. Every day, Soulgy was this ritual, this process. You got to put these posts out. You got to put them in these groups. You got to put these promos out. You got to put them on all these different platforms. You can't miss a beat, because a man in the old knew that's how you had to operate. You had to turn every stone. You had to cover your bases. You had to check, inspect what you expect, that all this old stuff, right? Well, as I started to get back, as I got into this, and again, I'm telling this story to try to get some sense of what you can offer and to develop some dialogue from this perspective, possibly, or comments.
Yeah, it's not.
So but go ahead.
It's not an easy conversation.
Well, it's because it's new and we haven't had, but so here I'm just trying to pull an anecdote out or my experience out to see if there's some type of something we can see. Now, what I'm getting at is this. I'll be real quick. So I tried to get started on January the 8th and turn the machine back on. Events started happening that weekend. That was a Monday. that everybody was talking about, and has continued as these things have come in February and March. But what I'm getting at is every time I've tried to go back into the old template, it doesn't work, to the point now where my body, my soul, my human just goes, we ain't going there. You may lay on the bed for 6 hours today, but you're not going there. So now, just to give some final, backdrop, I have these, I got 3 shows scheduled right now. I used to have 30 every day. There'd be 30 ahead of me, sometimes more, right? Everything is different. The communication's different. I love what you said about, being, doing and being, but not like in the old way. Like, I think one of the guys brought it up in our group, and they were talking about, the man always had to do this, and he had to do that, and he has to do this, or he has to do that, or he's not the man. He's got to take the trash out. He's got to go to work and not complain. He's got to go run to the store and get tampons, milk, and cookies. And these are true stories from my life. And you're always there, right? And somebody in the group was saying, I don't have to do that anymore. I can just be. And I think that's what you're saying. It's like the for all of us is the value. And think of the illumination or the energetic force of somebody who's comfortable in their own skin and come to terms with being themselves.
Yeah, my life's completely different. My life's completely different. That old avatar, that old life, running a company, kids and school and all that stuff is totally different. Not just from a doing standpoint, but from a being standpoint. So for me, it's about moment to moment. I mean, when we practice meditation, it's not just an hour to escape our reality. We're there practicing. I'm there practicing to start embodying this into every moment, every, present moment. We're in the present moment right now, learning how to, focus and bring all of myself into this moment instead of thinking, oh, I got to pick up those things and do that stuff. That's a real skill. That's a real skill that we're starting to develop more and more and more. And what I've found personally is I started to kind of, refine this energy. It kind of feels like a piece of clay. I'm a piece of clay, my vibration. And it used to be all very distorted and all over the place and up and down. And it's starting to come into a focus. If you could kind of like imagine a magnifying glass or something, as you kind of bring it back, there's that fine laser-like focus. And it feels like that energy is just drawing me in from moment to moment. And so the day just starts to create. The people call, the opportunities, that happens. That happens when you start becoming less distorted and more, I was going to use the word authentic, but it just feels pure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pure within yourself. The people, the resources, whatever it is that's
appear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's absolutely true. Yeah. Especially like the last half of March. I mean, things started to, that's one of the things that I've seen on a personal level is things appearing out of nowhere. I think, I think one of the big things for me, I'll throw it back to you, but as you were saying that, so if you could speak to this beyond what you were just going to say too, I see, and again, I'm just speaking from my own experience, and I'm in a man's body, but like in this transition or whatever the hell it's been, it's like everything that's coming to me, I understand it is based on every thought, word, and action I have as a soul, as a man, as a human, in degree of integrity. So if it's a little thing, like paying debts, small debts, big debts, like you said about doing what you say and saying what you do, we come from a place, we come from a narcissistic realm, called patriarchal, whatever you want, but it was never that way. It was never do as you say and say as you do. It was said that was what was said, but this is a realm that came from don't do what I say, not what I do. You know what I mean? It's like, you're a kid and you see your parents doing the things, you know what I mean? And you start to clue in. But what I'm saying is that it doesn't take away from the power of what you're talking about, doing what you're saying what you're doing, being in integrity. And there is a direct, immediate reciprocation, from the universal energy. I think that's what you're talking about. And these things come into your life.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, first of all, I want to acknowledge this, creating this space. There's going to be people out there that are going to hear this. That's going to open up a new conversation. And the more we just kind of bring it out to let people know that it's okay, especially let men know that it's okay, that there is an opportunity, which really what it feels like, an opportunity to recreate yourself out of the matrix, out of the programming, beyond the paradigms, beyond the belief system. There is an opportunity to recreate yourself. And at that point, when you get to that point, and it's like we're all on the path, nobody knows. But again, you go back to this feeling of this vibration that comes through, the frequency that is assisting us. It's a lifeline, is what it feels like to me, Todd. It feels like a lifeline. And as we start to embrace this, okay, when we start embracing this beyond the stories, what anybody thinks, I don't know what Todd's doing, but he seems to be really happy. There's something about it, and I think I mentioned this in our men's group the other day. You almost become like a lighthouse, sharing different things, and it's different. It's a different version of the masculinity. The way they're relating it to me right now is the difference between a cell phone and a house phone. Remember the old house phones? You and I are old enough to remember the.
Hell yeah, I remember them. Remember the dial ones.
That cord that would go all.
I remember when they had letters. In the first two were letters, like UL.
That's right.
5, 2. Yeah.
Okay, so what's the difference? They're both phones, but goodness, look at what the cell phone can do. Look what it can access. That's how it's related.
That's an interesting analogy. Yeah,
the capacity is so much greater. The capacity to feel, to express themselves, to be seen. It's just a different story.
And that's interesting that you say that, because if you think about it, if you go back to, I can still remember numbers. 214-252-2274. That was my number when I was in 6th grade. I can remember my grandmother's number as a kid. 853-1560.
Me too.
But my point is, if you look at that analogy that you just created, it says like so many truths now, right? They carry like multiple. But back then, think about it. We were using our memory, like you had to memorize things. It was clunky, right? Like school. You go to school, were they really teaching us through a creative process, or we were just memorizing stuff and taking tests? Same thing. And now you're saying with the cordless, it's not even the same. It's like one's an ant, the other one's an elephant.
That's right. That's exactly right. So we continue the path. We continue to walk. It's a great learning lesson every day. It's a retraining. I mean, there's so many times that what I've learned from my grandfather and father and brothers just don't apply anymore. It just don't apply at this level, because for me, I don't know, Todd. I mean, truth resonates. There's an absoluteness to it. And the more that I've discovered myself, I guess, if you will, my heart, my vibration, the less so many of those programs or stories that I've been taught resonate. And I don't apply them anymore. And I break away from it. And it's caused a rift. But honestly, I'm not looking back. I'm not looking back because this vibration again is so pure. You don't
Yeah.
doubt it. You don't. There's an absoluteness to it. It's like,
Right.
this is my hand. There's no doubt in that. There's no resonance of doubt. Or it's like falling in love. You know when you know. How do you describe it? I don't know how to describe it, but you know when you know. And so that's what's coming through right now. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. It's intense. We're getting called out into the carpet. People are seeing us now. And
We're seeing it. We're seeing ourselves.
we're seeing ourselves. It's a trip, right?
um, yeah, you just hit on it there. And again, I'm going to get off of it because I want to ask you some stuff about you and your relationship, or not
Thank
too
you.
personal, but yeah, and some of the work that you do, because I know people that work with you. But I was talking to my mom about this a couple of days ago. A man will give up everything. Now I'm speaking in traditional terms. This is an open platform. I think everybody knows that. But a man will give up anything and anyone for the woman that he's, that he's recognized, or that he's, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I think that in the old paradigm, that was used against us. And I know I made choices where I put the corporation before my family, right? So in other words, that allegiance was distorted or effed with, or whatever the case is. And so come back full circle. I feel like that's what you're talking about. What you're talking about is a man or a masculine energy in all of us that's gotten to the point where it's learned to say, you know what, that's not right, and I'm not going that direction. Not only am I going to stay over here and protect as I should, but not in that old way, not in that irrational way. I'm going to call out bullshit from here out, no matter what, kind of thing. And again, this is energetic. It's thought based. It's a quantum thought reality, and it has influence and impact and transformational, repercussions of a positive slant.
I've been there. I've been, and I've run a company, and the old program made me believe that I was doing the right thing, providing for the family and what have you. But energetically, from a soul level, you know, it was just not my path. It was not in alignment. That there was a much greater role for me to play here, and starting to, and there's the story, and we've had it, and we've gone through it, and we ended up selling our company, and we moved back to San Diego to take care of my father after my mother died, and we went through this process of rediscovering who we are. And
How long ago was that?
We've been back in San Diego for about and my dad died a few years back, but we were able to spend, he was only supposed to live 5 years or 5 months. We got started giving him that aloha and lots of love, and he ended up living 6 years. And
Wow.
Honor. And it was,
there it is right there.
I'm sorry?
That's it. There's the proof right there.
Oh, I mean, it was an honor, but it was a real challenge.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
I grew up in, to come back into the
because you came from Hawaii back to California.
That's right.
Oh, no wonder. I was there for 10 months, and we bitched and moaned and fought and clawed. As soon as we got the download, we had to leave and go do work on the
it's always in my heart. Hawaii's always in my heart.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's okay. So I know that you have a platform, One Ohana One. I think your wife's involved with you. Just looking at, I haven't really explored your page or anything, but looking at the energy of you and your wife, you seem to be you seem to be carrying the codes and working together mutually. I don't know if you could just kind of give us a little backdrop on.
We're just kind of getting our rhythm. We're 33 years in on this relationship.
There you go. All right. Maybe you could teach. Well, and that in itself is a whole show right there. But so can you just kind of like 33 years. So she was with you in Hawaii. You had a business. You sell it. You go home to take care of your father. And this is the last few years. And what's been going on there? We talked about, the masculine side of things. What about the union? How has that been? A lot of people have said a lot of things about twin flames and soulmates and divine counterparts. And we're starting to see some commentary come out about how challenging, just as you spoke about, it being a challenge for, let's say, a man, but how challenging it has been to remain and support and expand, you know what I mean, and sustain a relationship through these evolutionary times when it's a full-time job just for yourself, right? So can you talk to that a little bit?
I mean, I love talking about my relationship. It's by far been, the most rewarding, the best success I've ever had. It's always been, I kind of define myself by it, because there was many, many years that it was by far the best thing I had going in my life. The other aspects of my life weren't going that well, but the relationship's always been steady, even when times were difficult. In fact, those were really when we got the closest, when things were getting, really out of control, money stuff, health issues.
Right.
That's when we got closer. That really showed me the depth of the relationship. We don't know what we're doing. People ask us, well, what's the secret? We know that we're very committed to it. We met at a personal growth seminar in 1990. And, there was a commitment. We were open. So we were beyond our stories. Everybody was kind of dumping their shit, if you will. And so we got an opportunity to meet each other at a very open, soulful level. And so that connection has sustained us. Is it easy? No, it's not easy. But the commitment to it has never wavered. And, I think that we both kind of have this feeling. I heard someone say it the other day. I thought it was really beautiful, that we both kind of secretly think we got the better end of the deal. And it's really true.
I like that.
I admire her. I love her strength. Her consistency is unwavering. She is who she is. She embodies what it means to be grounded in this beautiful, loving place. And she doesn't waver. Does she get upset or triggered? Absolutely. But that consistency has been, I think, the key to our relationship. Somebody described this. I thought was really cute. How, do you remember the old Slinkies? She goes, you two are like two Slinkies. You're tied together. She's on the ground while you're flipping over. You're the one reaching and stretching and, what about this? Let's do this. But she's the one grounding you in to sustain you through this. And that combination is, like I said, we're 33 years in. We're still figuring this thing out. Our kids just moved out. So we're without kids for the first time in our life and rediscovering ourselves. And that has challenges and adjustments, but it's what we are. It's who we defined ourselves through this beautiful connection. And I don't know what I would be without it. It's everything. It's just everything to me. She's my world.
Erin. Yeah. I see her out there. Hello, Erin.
Yeah.
So, and I don't want to be presumptuous, but you have a group. It sounds like you have a platform of sorts. It sounds like that you or the both of you might do some type of energy work practitionership type of thing?
Yeah, it's mainly me, but when we're working with somebody, I mean, we work with a lot of corporations, we work with individuals.
Oh, that's interesting.
I have a website, elevate11.com. It's pretty much all referral. I mean, I don't broadcast it at all. It's something, honestly, Todd, I just kind of fell into. I for years and years and years, I did this just because I love to.
Uh-huh.
I love showing up for people. I love helping them adjust their frequency and honestly just see themselves in a different light. More than anything, just being able to change someone's perspective and see themselves the way I see them was a massive shift. But so I have a website, elevate11.com.
That's elevate
11.
11. Yeah, I just try to find it.
And then our group, One Ohana, I'll tell you how that came about was it was the day after my dad died. And there was a massive rainbow over our house.
Uh-huh.
I never was really into social media, never felt called to it. It just didn't feel very good to me. There's a few people I enjoy connecting with, but never was really into it. All of a sudden, out of the blue, I get this urge to create a group. And it used to be called 5 Minutes to 5D. Now we call it One Ohana. And to me, it's just a consistent vibration. It's a refuge. Okay, if you go in that group, there's no drama.
Mm-hmm.
There's no division. It's just good people sharing beautiful things, beautiful pictures. It could be nature, it could be insights, it could be something that helps others on their path. It's a loving, consistent, balanced place of pure vibration. And it's just been amazing. It's been an amazing process. We've been instructed to keep it small. We could have grown it way, way bigger, but we want to. It was all about the consistency of the vibration and the people that have been called that have helped us, the administrators that we have on there have been absolute godsends to connect with these people on this level and share that space. And to know that space exists, that there's a place that they can go, that they're going to get loving frequency. They're going to get infused with some goodness, It's just, and of course, the beauty of it is by being committed to it. And I'm sure you've experienced this with your show, by being committed to it. Well, that's calling forth another version of you, that best version of you. We don't just post anything on there. It has to reach a certain level of vibration to be able to be posted. I've had lots of beautiful pictures that I haven't posted because it didn't quite match that resonance. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
And
absolutely, it makes sense. Yeah,
the commitment to that. It's a small group, but it's a beautiful group.
Less is more. There's a truth to that in this paradoxical reality. So let me just show it. You mind if I go to your site real quick?
Sure.
Okay, so this is Elevate 11. Hang on. Yeah, I just want to pop down here real quick. Next level mentoring, quantum energy reset, compassion code. And then I wanted to look at your beautiful wife again. Yeah, this is cool. Client testimonies, 20-minute free consult. And then what over here? You got the mentoring, the reset, compassion code. Interesting. Yeah, very cool. Well done. Very well done.
Can't even how much money is that. If you want to talk about, she kind of snatched me from a ho-hum existence into her kind of world. And it was through the mirror of looking at her that I saw another version. I'm going to get.
Yeah.
Tough for me to talk about my wife without crying, but the depth of love to be seen, to be accepted, to be open is truly extraordinary. It's truly extraordinary. And, I'm just very, very grateful. It's very, very grateful to, I'm not really sure. I must have done some crazy stuff in a past life to deserve this, but it's been a true honor to be connected to her and co-create with her. And we created two beautiful children who are making an impact. They're both people of service. My daughter works in a hospital. My son is a firefighter. We're all about service. We're all about the collective. It's been nothing but a joy. Been nothing but a joy. It just comes up through me, just comes up through me. But when we work with people and corporations, we do a lot of corporations because there's a corporate soul as well. There's a corporate vibration as well. And a lot of companies are starting to realize that. I attended a conference where I would say maybe 80% of the people that were there were the sons and daughters of the top most successful Chinese corporations. So they've discovered that consciousness is a thing. Consciousness is another level. And so running your personal life or running your corporate life, there's another level to this game. So when I say next level mentoring, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about accessing it's another vibration. And when you access that quantum field, it's pure expansiveness. It's beyond understanding. It's beyond logic. It's not linear. It's totally quantum. And you play in that field and magic happens.
Yeah.
So, and it's very much a co-creation because Aaron holds the space. I'm usually doing the energy work on people and interacting, but it's very much a collaboration. It's both of our energies.
Absolutely. No doubt about that. That's coming through loud and clear.
And it's really fun. It's fun to create with great people. I just can't get enough great people in my life. And
yeah,
there's so many. If you think about it, the absolute majority of people are really, really good. Many good people. We just
absolutely as in like the 99%. That's the whole crazy thing about it. I had a pretty long corporate career and worked with a lot of different size organizations, divisions, companies, whatever. Did a lot of training. So, and I remember recruiting, I would say probably more so motivational speakers than instructional. But and what you're referring to, you can always see the energy in an organization, but it sounds like you're jumping in with both feet into the traditional corporate structure, and not only are you initiating, but at the same time it's being received.
There's not an exact science. I feel my way through. I certainly know how to run a company. I've built and sold several companies, but this is much more of a feeling process. And in these people that are spending their lives, many of them, the majority of their lives at work away from their family and feeling less and less excited and fulfilled by what they're doing it because they feel like they have to. Learning how to connect with these people in a way that makes coming to work fulfilling, starting to connect with the people that they're working with on a deeper level and more connected to a greater mission, that there's something more for them than just paying their bills.
Yeah.
That they're spending their life, but they're doing something fulfilling. They're doing something with people that matter. And so it's a much more feeling, much more gentle, much more open version of what we've known as corporate America. I mean, back in the day, in the 80s and 90s, it was all about profit. It was profit,
Right.
but it's not enough anymore. It's not enough anymore. Okay, so there needs to be more of a fulfillment, but at a deeper level. It's an energetic level. Like, here's an example. So I had a friend that runs a decent size corporation that he asked me to come in for a day. We weren't even charging him. I just said, cool, I'll come by. And he goes, I just want you to hang out. I want you to just kind of pick up on what's happening here. Overall, there was a good vibe. They talk about chemistry, they talk about environment, but overall there was a good vibe, but there was something off. It didn't feel great. It felt okay. It didn't feel great. Now, if you look at any great corporation or any great team, football or what have you, there's a chemistry. There's a chemistry. Just like in a relationship, there's a chemistry. And there was a woman who was the accountant. And as I was walking through this building, when I walked by, to me, I'm just so sensitive to this energy. It was just it was a little heavy. It was a little off. And I asked her, how are you doing? Now, I had asked everybody else in that company, hey, how's it going? What's going on? Just connecting, right? Everybody was like, doing great. Good to see you. How are you? She said, I'm fine. Okay, so the energy immediately tells me something's there. And I sat with her, and I wasn't doing this as a corporate facilitator or anything. I was doing it as a human being, asking her how she's doing, because I did care, and I could feel that she was hurting. Now she started to just, without any real effort, it just started to come out. She was carrying 2 jobs. She wasn't seeing her kids. The weight, the heaviness, all of this stuff. She's just like a locomotive, just driving all this heaviness to get things done. And her energy was difficult. She was not happy, and everybody around her was feeling it. Now, that's a very simple. We do a lot more than that. I had a 30-minute conversation with her. She went into her story. She was given an opportunity to express herself. She was sharing that other people had been fired, and their responsibilities had been dumped on her without a pay raise. So she's trying to take care of her kids. This becomes this whole impacted energy that was dense and heavy. And as I sat with her, we talked. I started to share with her some of the things that I had learned, not just as a person running the company from that perspective, but as an employee, and then as a human being. Started to get into this really amazing conversation that started to clear that energy. Now, when you're tapping into this vibration and you share it with people, there's something encoded in us that remembers. And remember, I said in the beginning of our conversation, it's accessible to everybody if they're open to it. And so sharing that vibration, sharing that connection with her, just putting some love into her and giving her some time, just like that. Now, that's not even what we do. That's just a little inkling, but that power that I'm talking about, that when I access it and share it with it's so beyond us. It's not me, it's coming through me. It's coming through me, and it's here for everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody can access it if they're open to it. And I'm finding myself called, like, everything's speeding up. I'm sure you felt this. Everything's speeding up. And so more and more throughout my day, it could be a neighbor, it could be a friend, it could be a client, it could be the mail person, whatever. We're getting called to connect with people, Todd.
Mm-hmm.
This is part of the shift that's coming through us. disguised as a corporate reset or working with the individual, but that's just how it's playing out. It's much greater. It doesn't matter, in other words, how it's coming through. The fact that it's coming through, we should all be grateful. We should all be grateful because our energy is shifting. Our energy is raising as we speak. And it's amazing. It's amazing. I'm loving it.
Yeah, we should. Well, being grateful is, that's like, I mean, there's certain things that no matter what situation you're in, no matter what, that work to kind of get the motor going, right? Like being grateful, and to include acknowledging, the little things, your food,
It
you have
matters.
a car, you have a roof over your head, you have something to eat. I know this sounds pretty basic, but there's a whole bunch of people out there that don't have this. What is it? 1 in 8 children, something like that. I mean, it's a day, that doesn't have anything or whatever the case is. I can't remember all these numbers anymore, but
the beauty of this vibration is that one little drop.
Yeah.
One little drop can change the trajectory of someone's life. A nice thought, hey, your yard looks nice. Being seen, being acknowledged, being, offered some kindness. It's the wave. I don't know if you know Gary V. He's a influencer. He's always talking about kindness. We've forgotten about, and I'm going to use a word, I'm kind of date myself, but it keeps coming up. Decency. Remember that? What was the word?
I don't know. Well, yeah, I get what you're saying, but the reality is, if I go back, because I'm older than you, I think. I'm sure I was born in '61, so I got to see all the '60s. But really, the reality of it was the same shit show. It was the same. Now, was there more stable in the West family? You know what I mean? Was there a different environment there? Because there's been a total breakup of the family. We know that. But then you've got all these immigrants coming in, and they're very family oriented, regardless of their socioeconomic stature. They're very family oriented, or at least so. But I think what he's saying is right. These things that are kind of like basic protocol, like basic, like you said, decency, virtues.
Yeah.
So it's nice coming back to that.
I have felt, I'm sorry to cut you off. I've got
I'm good.
Lag too. Yeah. I think there's definitely been a concerted effort to attack relationships and family.
Oh, yeah.
But what's also interesting is how, again, vibrationally, we've found these connections. We found our soul family. We found people that we can have these kind of conversations with. And it's a different type of family. So there's, on one hand, you see kind of a breaking down. On the other hand, I see some opportunity. They're seeing a lot of people finding each other. It's 222 here, by the way. we're doing the
well. Isn't that the pattern though? For everything that's been happening, it makes sense now that you say that. In order for the real family unit to be birthed, the old one had to be broken down, right? Just like the old man, the old woman, the old structures. Soulgy is my recent example. It's like, it's got to be taken down to nothing. That wasn't like some kind of brilliant genius idea that came from Todd, or the conduit that Todd is just like everybody else. It was just like this, I don't know, it's like slow motion. It's like, you get in a car accident and everything moves real slow in those, you know what I mean?
There is,
I don't know. There seems to be like this. I would say it's the third energy, right? It's become like a person. It's an influence is palpable, right? You can feel it, you can see it. Have you been, like, say, in the last 2, 3, 4 months, you try to go do something a couple of 2, 3 times and you're just not allowed to do it? or something. Another, you know what I mean? It's like it becomes obvious. It's no longer a coincidence. Hey,
Yeah.
I want to give a quick shout out. First of all, thank everybody for tuning in. I know been based on our past, been a bit inconsistent lately. Just feeling my way like everybody else. But I want to give a shout out to Shirley Huta from East Texas, my sister, my friend, and her husband, Earl the Pearl, just transitioned about 10 days ago. So I just wanted to send you some, or join me for a second, and let's just give her a little bit of a peaceful healing, love, and comfort, and blessings of grace. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, this is and what's it like to be in such a densely populated area? And do you work out of the house or do you go somewhere?
I've been working a lot. I'm being called to do a lot of introspective work right now.
Okay, good.
I still have my clients and what have you, but I'm just getting taken on a whole nother path, Todd. I mean, it's just going so far beyond anything I've experienced, and I'm just leaning into it. I mean, it's like walking in the dark. It really is. My way through it. It's new, it's dynamic, but this vibration is so different. It's gentle, it's caressing, it's so much more refined and loving, and it's the power behind it. Like I said, just the drop is so potent. You have a thought about somebody, and you just imagine them being good, and they're good. They're good. That's the power of this.
I agree.
Shifts.
I totally agree with that. I totally agree that here we are. You have Dr. Emoto with water. You have people that talk to plants. I've got a dear friend, Ty's partner, Serena. I've never seen anyone that every plant she's around is just thriving. There's not even a brown spot or a faded spot.
Yeah.
But if you take that a little bit further, okay, our thoughts about somebody else, depending on the strength or weakness of their own energetic field, we could very well impact them. I could look at someone and go, "Oh, she's a bitch," and her field may have a little hole in it that she gets that, and I'm actually contributing to that. We can say that, I'm whole within myself and nobody can touch me, but you know what? We all come from the same place, and we don't understand this geometry. But to your point, I feel like that just that level of awareness and consideration, that's the new decency that you were talking about.
It's the age of decency. It's they're all opportunities. Like I said before, we get triggered. It's an opportunity to look yourself in the mirror. What is it about that person? Oh, they're judgmental. Well, are you judgmental? And it's not a bad thing.
if you're having a problem with them, you are. You just answered your own question.
There's got to be a little fragment of you still there if you're getting triggered. So, but again, we're all doing our best.
Yeah, we're learning these things. I mean, if you think back to like 5 years ago, I mean, now it's pretty common knowledge that anything that I always look for myself and go, okay, I'm clear of that. I'm done with that. I don't do that. If I start talking like that, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Because I say to myself a lot, like 2 or 3 times a day, don't get cocky. Because I talk to myself a lot, like a lot of us do. But that part of it, and then, just being open. I think being open to what you don't know. I mean, that's a very humbling thing. And as time goes on, it feels to me, and in my own description of myself, to myself, not for anyone else, just for the point of this conversation, I can feel my humility grow. I can feel the strength of that. That's a very powerful thing. And the crazy thing is for me, I feel more powerful, but at the same time, I feel like I know less. Not in a bad way. It's just like simplifying the field and going back to what you said at the top of the show, which was like, the being. Just be being yourself, beyond cliche. Actually, what do you want to do? Who do you want to be with? Where do you want to put your energy? You know,
you nailed it, Todd. We don't know. We don't know anything about this. Okay. Everything that we've gone through, what we thought we knew, relevant at this point. It is
everything, including those things that assisted us since, let's say, 2012.
Right.
I'm talking, processes, modalities, downloads, transmissions, past life memories, all that stuff. It's still outside of us, so to speak, just like those traumas were back there. I mean, this is what blows my mind, is the presence thing. Like what I'm experiencing is I don't have to try to be present. I'm not saying I'm perfect all the time at all. I'm just saying that I find myself in these spaces, and I usually don't get the thought until a few seconds into it or even after it. And I'll go, wow, I was right there. Like this thing with the snake the other day, or some rabbits the other day with my friend. I'd been going to the bayou, had all these things with rabbits. I wrote about it. Hadn't gone back in 3 weeks. I just stopped going. My friend comes to visit. We go for a walk, and what happens? The rabbits come out of the Wazula. They're everywhere, and they're talking to me, and the other animals are talking, and the birds are talking, and a red-tailed hawk flies over. So was this stuff going on all the time, and I wasn't looking at it?
I
think so. Yeah.
I mean, I'll go in the backyard, and you see this whole symphony of energy going on. The plants and the animals are interacting, and you hear the sky or you hear the wind, and you hear the chimes, and you start to get deeper and deeper and deeper into that moment. And it's like, well, wait, have I been missing all of this? Yeah, you have. That's called consciousness. That's called more of you, bringing more of yourself into this present moment.
Yeah.
And the more you allow in, the more you start to see.
Yeah.
I probably see 50 different numbers a day now. 333 all the time. 55. You see it on the clock. You see it on an address.
It's crazy.
Coming in faster and faster, but it's not just numbers. It's letters, it's animals, it's colors, it just comes in from everywhere, and that there is a sense of flying by the seat of your pants.
Well, but those, I call them the physical synchronicities. They used to be just the numbers, and now they become other things, like a phone call. I mean, it probably happens to you and your partner a lot. It happens to Morgan and I a lot. Like I'll say something, and then I was just about to say that, or I think I called her yesterday, or should we like picking up the phone? I mean, these physical synchronicities occurring, and they can seem to be somewhat trivial, but they're not. Like you might run into somebody and you're talking, and everything just kind of feels right, and they have a birthday, and it's your daughter's birthday, and there's all these little intricacies that seem like they don't mean anything. But I guess what I'm saying is that what I have found is I don't create that moment, so to speak. I find myself going, oh wow, I'm here, and then so it's like the feeling, or what are all the characteristics, what are all the dynamics, what am I feeling here? And I'm noticing it more and more and more, and it's this space. I don't really know how to describe it, but I'd go back to, I don't know anything. I can't tell time. I can't tell you what month it is. I can't really tell you exactly what I'm going to do tomorrow. There's definitely not a 10-week plan or a 5-year plan or a 6-week plan. No, it's like you get up every day, and it's kind of like nature. What would happen if we were sleeping in the woods, or coming out of a cave? What would we do? We would get up and we would go in synchronization with the natural flow of things. And it's just kind of weird because we've been in a weird pattern.
When we were in Hawaii, I always kind of felt a dreamlike.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a dreamlike essence to it. There was the physical moment, but there was something else. There was something.
Yeah. To me,
almost like of a scene in a movie.
Yeah.
And I have noticed that more and more, that there's a fluidity to time right now. And it's like, well, what does Wednesday mean? You know, I mean, I have a neighbor, if he didn't put out his trash can on Wednesday, I wouldn't know it was Wednesday. I mean, I don't know what day it is. The time is irrelevant. I have a set, like today we were going to meet at 1 o'clock our time. Okay. So I have some structure.
Right.
Most part, it's moment to moment. It's, you know, we're eat when we're hungry. We're going to go to the gym when we feel it. You know, and it's a nicer way to live. There's not so much
pressure.
Yeah.
There's no pressure. The only pressure is the second guessing, like, man, I need to be doing something right now.
No, if you feel it, you do it. And that pretty much is our life now. If it doesn't resonate, because look, truth resonates. There's a resonance to truth.
Yeah.
You know, you go to the restaurant, you're saying, well, maybe I'll have a salad or a sandwich or a steak or something. You're like, you know, a salad sounds good. That feels good. There's a resonance there. Oh, this is how we live our life now. I don't know. I'm not sure what we're going to do today. We get up, we have some coffee, and that's, you know, we meditate, and then the day kind of opens itself, and, you know, someone will call or something will, you know, an opportunity or somebody needs something, and that kind of dictates the flow of the day. But
I want to bring something up from, do you have a little more time?
Of course.
Okay. Yeah, we can go like another 20 minutes if you're cool. Okay, that's already been an hour and a half. That's like freaky.
That's a perfect example.
I know. It's weird because you're right. It's like a microcosm of the days, which to me is like you got all this stuff. It's like the day is happening, like to me, like you're walking in plasma. Everything is like slowed down. Everything is absorbed and enhanced, you know, at a greater level. And then you wake up and go, Jesus Christ, where'd the last 6 months go? You know what I mean? It's like, wait a minute. But I wanted to go back to something in the men's group. And just because I had made a point that I wanted to ask you about this. I don't want to get into the particulars about it, but I'd rather get into the image, the visual, and not the way you said it, but in this experience that you shared, there was a connection through your individual experience, which to me spoke at a collective level. And it was this connection of you being kind of connected to your masculine lineage, your brothers, you know, I guess sons, nephews, grandfathers, fathers, et cetera, et cetera. And it really impressed upon me because it felt like, you know how you hear, and I believe it, and I'm sure you do too, when you clear something, it gets cleared forward and backward, right? Through your ancestry, right? But that one really felt strong. That one, like when you were telling that, I was seeing what you were talking about. And to me, it felt like everybody got the memo. And I don't know if that's true, but I'm just wondering, what is your feel for that?
We're doing collective work, no doubt. It was shown to me, and I'm happy to share. Morgan took us through a beautiful meditation where we were able to, you know, access some of our lower chakras and start to really get in touch with some of the condensed energy, the way it showed up without getting the particulars. The way it showed up for me was a very heavy kind of but it was you could move it. The way I think I described it in the group was like wet sand. If you're at the beach and you're digging a hole, but it's wet, so it's heavy, but you still can get through it. And I saw myself clearing this energy, this density around me that I had been carrying or I was tied to. And what showed up was the lineage from father, your grandfather, great grandfather, they showed all of the men on my father's side shackled together, shackled. And this density, as I started to lean into it and allow myself to just open, just surrender, just trust that there's another level if you go through it, if you have the courage to just face it. And I saw us, we were all on all fours. We were all shackled like prisoners. It felt like Roman times to me almost, but we were just these heavy shackles. And as I started to go through this process, we stood up. We stood up as one. We stood up, and we could feel not just the heaviness, but the expansiveness of what was available to us, that what we had been, programmed to believe was, there was so much more beyond it. There was so much more beyond it. And that expansive feeling. And now just from my family standpoint, there's been breakdowns in every single generation. Grandfather didn't talk to brother. My dad didn't talk to his brother. My brothers and I have disconnections. It is carried through the line. And so just to have that sense, not just be together, but to experience breaking through it, breaking through it, and that feeling of just, it's funny. I get images, and the way they explain things to me is through seeing, visuals. And there's a spot just south of here that's it's a surf spot, and we do like waterboarding or things like that, just kind of body surfing, excuse me. And that seaweed is so thick there. To get the best waves, you got to go out where the seaweed is so thick. And there's a moment when, as sweet as that wave is, when you go under, you got to fight to get back to the surface. And you feel this heaviness of this seaweed. And in that moment, Todd, I immediately went back to when I was a kid, breaking through that seaweed, breaking up into the sunshine, breaking up into fresh air. This powerful image of just breaking out of this stuff. And that's what happened in that moment. I felt that euphoric, just get through that stuff. And I felt it on a collective level. I felt so many people tied to that, and it did feel masculine. Whether you're in a female body or a male body, that was irrelevant. It was tied to the masculine vibration.
Right.
Breaking through those shackles, breaking through the repressed programs that have been, impeded upon us. And it was powerful. It was powerful.
Yeah. Made an impression on me. Yeah.
This is fun, man. I'm enjoying it. Thank you.
I'm trying to get back into the groove of everything.
Oh, you're doing fine.
Oh, well, and that's another thing too. What was the thing that came in? It was because for me, the whole paradoxical thing has taken on a new life, like everything has, And I can, in a paradox, normally back in the day, I couldn't see where one was the other, like not in the distortion of the world or whatever, but now I can see it, and it's strange because what I got the other day it was about value. I've been getting a lot about value. I know people have been talking about value. And of course, I'm in this situation where we've always been based on contributions until last year. And that was at the guidance of my makeup, my monad, whatever. And so it's been this really weird thing going on. It's not all about money. It's not about that. It's about energy, period. And I really had tried to be conscientious about it. But what I'm finding is that, you know, my value, whether it's a self-assessment or if I give it consideration coming from outside of me, what I've done is what I've done. But value is today. Value is not, now again, this is just me speaking to me. Okay. So on one hand, the paradox is everything you've done, let's just say in the last 10 or 12 years through my work, right? I'm using myself as an example. I'm having to let it go. In some way, I can't bring it with me. I can't say, hey, St. Pete, here's everything I did in my life. And you know what I mean? No, I can't bring that because the value I have to offer is today. It's right. What I do from here. So, you know, I made the remark, you know, I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. I've done, I'd say, I can't even, you know, think about it, but to say, what was it? January, February, March, I probably did 20 shows. I used to do that in a week for a long time. But there's a part of me that knows it's okay. As long as I'm okay. If I'm okay with it, regardless of what somebody might say to me or why are you or what's going on or why you didn't answer my message, I know that something's okay and it's all okay because I'm okay. And it's weird. It's just weird. You know what I mean? And I had a perfect example of this happened in the last week or so through the culmination of a connection that I have, right? And so there's been, you know, some interactions and situations. This person's been very benevolent. And so last year ran into a really big problem right after we started the network. Almost took us out like as soon as we got started. And this person, you know, like a lot of us, you know, we've had to work through being able to receive, being able to ask, things like that, right? Anyway, without getting into the specifics of it, I realized through further interaction with this beautiful person that it was my own energy field that created, you know, navigated through it, and through what had occurred, I saw that the right choices were made, right? Or that the harmonious or the balanced choices were made, or the synchronistic or in the flow or whatever you want to call it. But I couldn't see it in the process. And this just happened in the last month, right? So I feel like that's kind of something too. Like all these things that are coming through aren't things we could describe in the old vernacular, right? They're new. You feel them and then you try to explain them. But like these adages and cliches and kind of the things that we, you know, go within, I mean, it's all taken on a new meaning to me.
Yeah, there's really I mean, what feels to me a multidimensionality. You're the observer. It's like being on the playing field while being in the stands, while being the coach. You know, you're playing all these roles at the same time. You're able to see yourself from all these different perspectives, which really frees you up, to just be yourself, you know, and you're not so tied into what others think because, again, if it doesn't resonate, you don't do it.
Right.
Really simplifies things.
Right.
And like, yeah, that sounds okay, but it doesn't sound great.
Or if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. But at the same time, what I find too is like things that are kind of sitting there.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not doing anything. Well, it's kind of changed now, but I'm not doing anything with them because I've got a problem with something, which is about me. You know what I mean? Like there's something I don't want to deal with. In order to go do this, I've got to go deal with this. Right. And so that's been kind of refreshing too, because over the last, like maybe that was the March thing. I don't know. But like I'm coming out of March going, okay, I got stuff to do. I got my to-do list and I'm going to hit it every day. I'm not going to go crazy alpha male like in the old days, but, you know, I am going to pursue this. But, I don't know about you, but, and I think you might have said something to this effect. There's a new pace here. There's a weird pace, and it's kind of like slow and fast at the same time, like we were talking about. But it's like, don't get excited. Don't get worried. Don't be in strife. You know what? Don't get any angst. If you get a little trigger or something's up, somebody steps on your toe, take a deep breath, click your heels together, and get back get back to it.
Yeah, see, now that's a great point. That's a great point. Aaron and I were just talking about it. It's not a matter of if you're going to get triggered. It's how quickly can you move through that? How quickly are you going to make it into something, give it all this energy, or can you just be aware of it? Can you just notice it? That there's something, maybe there's a distortion in your field, see it, learn from it, but don't give it all your energy and just have it completely disrupt. I mean, things that used to be would disrupt us. I'd get in a funk for a day, a week, maybe a month. Now it's, I don't know, 10 minutes maybe.
Right.
No, I feel it. I see it. I get triggered. The energy, and you're right. It's fast and it's slow.
I know, it's crazy.
The more you slow down internally, the faster things are speeding up on the outside. I mean, time, like you're saying, what have we been? Hour and 50 minutes? I don't know.
I know, it feels like 10 minutes. I swear to God. But you're right too. And I had another example that come up recently, because we're kind of like trying to take steps, and one of the things I realized with Soulspeaks, I can't do everything by myself. About killed me. So I've got somebody. People are stepping up to like help or whatever. And so I've got this one person, and we had a task, and on that task, I needed to do something. I needed to do a couple of things to get things rolling, right? So I had that was decided upon, say a month ago, and 10 days go by and I don't do anything because I can't do it. And it's not like a difficult thing, but there's something doesn't feel right. So then we go to round 2 and they're like, hey, what are we going to do? I'm like, okay, well, let's do this. That still makes the most sense. So let me get the ball rolling. So 2 weeks go by. I still haven't done anything. But I finally get some of it done, and I send it over to them, and then they're going to go do something with it. And they've been kind of like, nudging me to get with the program, right? In a great way. It's no disharmony. So what happens? 4 or 5 days go by. We meet again, and they're like, I haven't done anything with the stuff that you sent me. and they said, do you get the feeling that maybe it's just not the right time?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, okay. It's not just me. So I think that's another thing that's happening too. As we work these things out in the human experience, is we're starting to realize there's no one to blame. There's no one to point fingers at. That's why I was saying at the beginning of the show, I wasn't resonating with the show I was watching today, because I'm thinking it's almost like my soul was going, why are we listening to this? You don't have to know all the details of the narratives. You don't have to know about all the fuckery. You don't have to know about what are you here to do now? This right here. Let me push live. Let's go live. Let's create something. What is it going to be? I don't know. I have no idea. But then we're going to pull our heads up 2 hours later and go, where the hell did 2 hours go?
I think when you have two people that have a willingness to just describe the experience, two souls going through this, sharing our experience, what we're learning, it's changing minute by minute. It's not the same game, and yet many people are applying the old rules. The things that they used to do don't work anymore.
They're not going to work.
So it's going to be our ability to just simply trust. Yeah. Trust that there is something guiding us. And for me, it's all about my feelings and my resonance. Does it resonate? And I care about everything, Todd. I care
Trust
about
yourself. Yeah.
Everything, because if it doesn't resonate, I don't do it. It keeps it so simple. But when I get away from it, all of a sudden I feel struggle and happiness and what have you. So, the old Philip.
Because you know what's coming.
What's that?
When you don't listen to it, you can start. You feel all weird because you know what's coming. It's you know what I mean. It's like nobody is going to be left out. That's the way I see it. Like, we don't even have to point at anyone. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, people come on the show, they'll be like, those people aren't woke up. Those people aren't woke up. I got news for you. Everybody is going to have their feet put to the fire to the same degree. And I don't care who you are, what you are, it doesn't matter. As I spoke of Earl earlier, Earl the Pearl, my friend, he used to say,
Earl the Pearl, what, Monroe?
No, this is Earl.
You were right.
Yeah. But but I remember Earl Monroe big time. But no, he would always say, and he was brilliant. We had some great conversations. And he would always say, well, as long as you're in this body, you're subject to the human condition. Like, that to me is a great equalizer. It doesn't matter how much you've accomplished. It doesn't matter what your level of self-perception is in terms of prestige or money or wealth or whatever the case is. Everybody can be humbled in any moment at any time. And that's the language that I'm paying attention to. And you're right. It's based in my body. And I'm finding that it's based, obviously, all parts of my body, because it's the universe inside of me, right? I was talking to Morgan yesterday, and I was just having this massive energy moving from my root up into my solar and heart. It was pretty cool. But a lot of what I've really, I don't want to say, because I don't want to say like I did it. I guess I did, but I became more aware of my nervous system. And it took about 3 or 4 months for me to dawn. It had been going on the whole time, right? We all have that, right? PTSD type, But over the last 3 or 4 months, I was aware of my body through my nervous system, and it just started moving at warp speed. And now I don't really feel that so much. I have some things still that are working themselves out, but yeah, the body is
it's radical.
Well, they talk about embodiment. So this is it. The soul is literally housing, you know what I mean?
We're getting fast forwarded. And like I said, it's by the seat of your pants. But that's not a great example, because you're not hanging on. You can't hang on.
No.
The more you try to hang on, then you start to feel the distortion. The minute you try to create something, you create distortion for yourself.
That's right.
This energy is so different. It's like, well, you can have an intention, but you have to let it go.
Yeah.
You have to
That's right.
Trust.
That's right. Yeah.
We've just not been programmed that way. Yeah. We've been programmed to force it, and you make it happen. And we have these programs of working hard where we applaud that. And so going from that to the opposite, where trusting, letting go, it's just as intentional, and there's just as much energy behind it. It's a different way. It's just, it's a difference between writing regular and cursive. It's both communication, but there's a fluidity to it.
Right.
And it's trusting that and learning to let go. Now that you hear that, and I know a lot of people that know all the right things to say.
Right.
That's not enough.
Yeah, you have to let go. You truly have to let go. Yeah.
You've got to.
That's faith.
Trust it.
That's faith. That you mentioned surrender. A lot of people mention surrender. To me, I've always said, it's a word beyond surrender. But now that I listen to you, that's faith. You would think faith is like drum roll, like some big, but no, it's just simply going, hey, here's what I know. Here's what I'm going to build today. I'm going to build this castle. This is my intention. I put everything into it, and then I let it go. Almost like, you launch a rocket, and you're good with whatever happens. It was successful, and it broke through the stratosphere and went to this planet, or it blew up. Like, you're okay with it, because it's, you know what I mean? And I think that's what you were saying earlier too, that space that you're in, that presence. It's not like anything we were told. Oh, you got to do this and you got to be present and breathe. And, no, it's just space. And that space is that faith. You know what I mean? It's that surrender. It's like, hey, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to go. I trust myself. I'm going to listen to myself, listen to my body, and make my choices, thoughts, words, and actions. And then, see where it goes and be okay with it. Because
Boy,
what you said, because you know what you said, that was the way we operated. The way we operated was, I'm not going to listen to myself because I don't trust myself. If you want to be blunt, okay, all of us. And then we would make a decision where we didn't listen to ourselves and walk this direction over here, and we're already off kilter. And now what are we doing? Projecting it on somebody around us because it's not our fault. But now we've moved past this stuff now, and that's to your description. That's exciting. That's what's exciting.
Suffice anymore. It's just not good enough anymore. It's the energy is taking us to another level. That it's a refined version of what it is to be, to have a human experience. It's a much different experience. Just the depth of meaning, and if it doesn't resonate, you don't do it. You just don't do it, and you don't force it.
Right? You can't. You can't do it. You can't do it.
I
just can't do it.
I want to just keep at it. Not in this game. Not at this level, Todd. It doesn't. I've tried 1,000 times.
Well, that's the other thing. We've tried everything else. Let's try ourselves now. I wanted to ask you 2 questions before we get out of here.
Okay, cool.
But let me just take a quick moment here, since we're talking this openly, and I haven't really been that public compared to my past. Soldier Network's still here. Kind of have an idea of where it's going. We're working with the energy just like we all are as individuals and couples and groups and that type of thing. So we are at soulsnetwork.com, but for the time being, we are multi-streaming on all of our platforms and social media, 5 or 6 other platforms. And I'm just telling everybody, hey, it's a work in progress, and we're working off the energy that he's describing so perfectly these last 2 hours. But yeah, we got some things coming down the pike, and we'll talk about it when they occur. But again, I'm in that frame of mind, literally, okay, just to be very honest with everybody. Those are the kind of questions that I've had. I wake up and say, am I even to do this anymore?
Right.
And that's some pretty deep diving, unexpected, and I think we're all going through it. But I just wanted to share that because there is I think people deserve to know. I wanted to ask you, thank you for letting me say that.
Add one
go ahead. Yeah.
And this is the message that I've been receiving. Do not underestimate the power of your vibration.
Yeah.
As we start to move past these versions of ourselves, and we start to tap into, and I'm talking about more abilities, telekinesis, the time travel. This is a real thing.
I'm with you, brother.
Available to us.
I'm with you.
And
I'm 100% with you.
Yeah. Into it, it'll just feel so good. You will not doubt it.
Yeah.
So the whole story of what I'm supposed to do, you as your vibration. And by the way, don't forget, it's not just whoever's tuning in here on planet Earth.
Right.
My sense is hundreds of thousands. It might be millions. I'm not sure. I can feel the vibration. I can feel it tuning in. So this is a beautiful portal that you created. That's an expression of you and Morgan that we're all grateful for, that you have the courage and the leadership to walk this path and put yourself out there. This is a meaningful portal to have these kind of conversations, because where else do you have it?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that. I needed to hear that. And it's funny too, because I was just talking to Morgan about this yesterday, but I remember specifically in 2018 and definitely in Hawaii, in those 10 months in Hawaii, I would bet you in 10 months on Kauai, I would bet you probably at least 700 shows, 70 a month, 70 to 80. But I remember them showing me in humorous ways. Like sometimes I get the visuals like you, and it was animation. They were just showing me how all the interplanetary galactic star family were watching this. We were providing code because you can only develop code from ground zero here. They can live vicariously through us. We can drop in, and do things like that. But to actually have the full experience, so I really appreciate you saying that. I will, because I was actually going to get off the thing today and go, am I supposed to be doing this anymore? But that made me feel good. I appreciate that. And I wanted to ask you two things. I can't remember the first one now. Did I ask you? No. But I did want to ask you. Oh, I know what it is. Kind of a trivial thing, but I'm just curious. Short answer. In any way you want to answer this, like taking this question in any different part of it. What do you think will be after this April 8th eclipse? Energetically, literally, just do you have any thoughts at all? No wrong answer.
Some of this just feels like entertainment. I know that's, people like to tie into it. You know what? I'm digging this moment.
Right.
I'm continuing to ride this wave. And I'll relate it to, I had our first landlord in Hawaii was a very famous surfer, big wave surfer.
Mm-hmm.
One day I just talked to him about, what's it like to be on that wave? And when the only way he would describe it was you didn't want to be anywhere else. When you were on that wave, there was no place else in the world.
Yeah.
So, I'm right here. I'm right here. Moment. That's a future moment. I can tell you it's building. I can tell you the energy's coming in faster and faster. Our abilities are expanding more and more. More people like myself who, I'm out there, but I'm not really out there. We're coming out of the woodworks. Okay. We're being seen. We're showing up. The light workers, the star seeds, whatever you want to call these people that are tuned in to a frequency, we're waking up to a whole nother level, and we have the courage to now be seen. So whoever's tuning in, whoever's seeing this is the call. This is it's time.
Yeah.
It's time. We need to see all of you. And it's like, if you really want to make an impact, show yourself, your authentic self. Don't be afraid of what people are going to think. People watching this, they may have known me from high school, college, whatever, business life. Those were visions of myself. This is me now.
Right.
This is me now. And being in that vibration feels amazing. It feels amazing, especially the suffering that we've gone through to get to this point. It's time to, I want to say, rejoice this April 8th. It just feels like it's building to a crescendo.
Yeah.
Not the end, it's the beginning.
That's what I say. Yeah.
It's the beginning of a beautiful age of, decency and love and cooperation and looking after everybody. It's like, why do we have people that are still hungry?
No. And
come about. We got tons of food. We got tons of money. What are we doing? And challenging these structures I see that starting to come to the forefront more and more because people are buying it. They're not watching the news. They're not.
Well, the energy, the light itself. I mean, the light, right? I mean, the light that enters our pineal that creates the projection. I mean, it's it's powering up and powering up and powering up, and either we'll have to transition to experience it or we'll experience it here. And so it's kind of cleaning everybody's clock, including governments, institutions, corporation mentality, and cultural impacts, or from before, in all ways, in all parts of life. I wanted to ask you too. Oh, go ahead.
They're going to be, no debt will be unpaid. Everything will be cleaned. A total reset, a total energetic reset, 100%.
Yeah. We're talking about the real one. you know how it was like light worker circles was woken or awakened, and then you started to have the woke.
We're the reset. We're
then they were talking, Nasara, Jasara, that we're the reset. It's us. We're it. We're the grid.
Outside themselves. It's
That's right. It's right here. I wanted to ask you too before we get out of here, or just extend the invitation that if you and your beautiful wife would like to come on and have an episode, and we can talk about whatever y'all want to talk about. But I do think that there's quite a bit of interest in couples, regardless of sexual preference. I mean, I'm talking about energy here. I'm talking about two souls or more, I guess. But I think there is a lot of interest because I think people are starting to get past the fluffy love and light part of it and actually see the coding and the mechanics and the value of where to create what they've created within themselves, or at least heading in that trajectory. So yeah, if you guys would ever like to come on, you know what I mean? Huh?
We've people ask us about that.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure how to explain it. It's beyond the paradigm, the whole institution of marriage. It's all about connection. It's all about connection. And in order to continue to not just have the connection, but expand on the connection, there's a commitment level. And, I said the other day, I mean, the key for me is having that connection in every room of the house. A lot of people talk about the bedroom, and you have that intimacy over breakfast or doing the grocery. Like the other day, we were cleaning out our backyard. We had all this green waste to get rid of, and the two of us were working. Well, those are some of my favorite moments. We're in sync. We're connected. I'm ripping stuff up. She's putting it in the trash can. There's a rhythm there. And whether it's business or it's in a personal relationship, I think it's that it's reciprocal, but there's a symmetry that needs to be there. But we would love it. We would love it. To answer your question, we would love it. I'll ask her. I better ask her first.
Yeah, you better ask her. That rule's not changing from the old world to the new world. That rule will always be there. I love that.
It's beautiful.
When Morgan and I the first time she ever came here was 2017, and we were in Houston for a few weeks, and then we hit the road, right? So we ended up going to Arkansas for a couple of days, and now we don't know where we're going. We're just going from one place to another. But we're at a hotel about to go to Utah with some friends, and her and I were like, I think it was like in the, like when you pull up to a hotel where you park and they got the canopy. I think we were standing there, and I think I was like, put my arms around her or something, and this old man walked up. He's probably about my age now, right? But he walked up and he's like, made a comment about our affection, and then he said something about his wife, and how I said how long it was something like 50 years or 60 years or something like that, and I said do you have any advice for me? He said, yeah, there's only two rules. One, she's always right. Two, if she's not, refer to rule number one.
Good.
Yeah, but out of courtesy, respect, yeah, definitely. I'd love to do that, and maybe we can coerce Morgan into making it a foursome. How about that?
That'd be cool.
I think so.
Where are you? You're in Texas.
I'm in Houston. Yeah.
Houston. Where's Morgan?
She is in Queensland, Australia, right now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we're in immigration. We've been working on it for quite some time. Long story, but yeah, things are looking promising. And again, I trust the energy as I trust my body, and in my personal life, in regard to her, Soulology, otherwise, family, whatever, my mother, things seem to be going the right direction, and there's a sense of get the F out of the way and be quiet. Just pay attention, And
the people I work with and create with, really, it's a co-creation. I mean, that's really what it's about. It's you can see so much easier in me what's going on, and I can see so much easier in you. It's easy because I'm not tied to it. But when we start to co-create, which is the key to any successful relationship, because you want for Morgan like she wants for you, then all of a sudden you got something. You got two people working towards something for each other, and it takes it out of your own ego and what have you, and you create this third relationship. There's your relationship with yourself, there's her relationship with herself, and then there's this third one. Aaron and I have found, to be this really cool place to hang out. And you can create magic. There's a lot there. Even in the difficult times, there's so much to be learned and just create with. It deepens the connection. So
and I think that's a really good description too, because I think that's another part of the coding or the blueprint that got forgotten with all of the distortion, and that is, there's three relationships here. The one she has with herself, the one I have with myself, and the one that we have, with each other, or with, you know what I mean?
Trying to make marriage cool again. We're trying to
there you go.
Make it cool. You hear about all the, programming of, they break up, what percentage of marriages don't last. Stay committed day to day. If we enjoy each other today, then we're going to hang out tomorrow. And then hang out tomorrow, enjoy the day, then we're going to hang out the next day. And 33 years down the road, we're still hanging out.
That's an important number. That must mean something. And this is a breakout year. So
Morgan said about 30, said something about threes.
What's that?
He just said something the other day about the threes.
Oh, yeah.
Something about the threes.
Well, 33 is the vertebrae, Jacob's ladder, or Christ stage. I mean, it's a powerful, powerful number. We all know that. So, there's your little the little synchronicity we have going out the door. Hey, man, I love you. I'll see you next Sunday in the men's group. Thank
you for having me. It's been a joy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I really have. 2 hours and 15 minutes. I can't believe it went by that quick. Listen, you take care. Best to your wife, and I hope to see y'all on the show with me.
Be good. Have a beautiful day. Let's go have fun.
All right, man. Peace out, everybody. We are going to have a show here in a couple hours. It's going to be a surprise. I'll put up a post. It's going to be fun.